What will Jeremy Pruitt's legacy be now that he's been let go at Tennessee? This is a guy who was the defensive coordinator on a national championship team with Florida State in 2013, did the same thing at Alabama in 2017. But now, just with this last run of time when he was, particularly from his time at Georgia in 2014 and 15 until now, with Tennessee way in the deep end with not even allegations, admittance of high-level problems with NCAA bylaws. What have we learned? What will the legacy be for Jeremy Pruitt, a guy who's really not that old in the coaching game? Dean Legge from Dog Post, Making You a Smarter Georgia Fan. I've been around Jeremy Pruitt in some form or another for a while now. I mean, when he came on the scene in 2014 at Georgia, he was what people thought was a breath of fresh air. Very energetic, former high school coach, got to Alabama as a GA and moved on from there. But history has a way of showing you who you really are. And he really has had a hard time being something other than a defensive coordinator. He had plenty of issues at Georgia that I will discuss as this thing goes on. But when you look at the dumpster fire that he's left Tennessee in, and Tennessee's got their own problems. I mean, part of the issue here is Tennessee hired Jeremy to begin with. That just should not have happened. I mean, he was not a head coach. I reserved judgment at the time, but I was highly skeptical that it would work out. But you've got a non-administrator, Philip Fulmer, making the call. I mean, it's not work. I mean, outside of Vince Dooley, there's not been a lot of former football coaches that have made it work as AD. And Vince did a great job. Philip Fulmer has not. It's been bad. Tennessee's in major dire straits with money, and that's why they're going to try not to pay Jeremy some of this money. They're accusing him of level 1, level 2 infractions. I wonder if they're willing to bite the bullet just to get rid of the guy and take the bowl ban or whatever it is. TV being off the table is completely out of the question. That just will not happen. So were they this interested in getting rid of him that they would slam their own finger in the doorway? It looks like it. I mean, they wanted him gone. And if they didn't, they wouldn't have gotten into this precarious situation, okay? They would not have gotten in this situation. So when you think about when Jeremy arrived at Georgia, here's the story on that one. Todd Grantham is announcing to the, word got out that Todd Grantham was leaving. Mark Richt is meeting with his staff. This is my understanding of it. And when Todd, is gone, he says to everyone in the room, I'm going to get you the best defensive coordinator we can find in the country. Well, that turned out to be Jeremy Pruitt, who, like I said, had just won the national championship at Florida State under Jimbo Fisher. And here comes Georgia with a lot more money for Pruitt. So he comes to Athens, and 2 years later, really even a year later, you could tell this guy, there's a lot of talk. And yeah, they played well on defense, but it wasn't that they were playing well all the time. I mean, there were plenty of times when Georgia did not play well on defense under Jeremy Pruitt. When you go back and you look at that 2014 season, it wasn't so hot on the defensive side of the ball. Here's what I mean. 38 points to South Carolina, 32 points to Tennessee, 32 points to Arkansas, 38 points to Florida, 31 to Kentucky, and then, of course, 30 to Georgia Tech. But let me circle back to the Florida game. So there we are after the Florida game, and Jeremy Pruitt did not do post-game interviews. I don't know why. He essentially wouldn't meet with the media, which was strange. I mean, particularly in that day and age. So doesn't do media, and then after they get absolutely beaten to death, nearly allow a pathetic Florida team to score 40 points in a massive upset of Georgia. He comes out after the game and meets with the media and talks about how, I don't know if the word ashamed is correct, but embarrassed and all this stuff. And he asked me, a reporter, he said, aren't you embarrassed? I didn't know. I'm like, what are you, I'm not the coach. I'm not the players. It's your job to do that stuff. So, fast forward to a year later, and Mark Richt has given up a lot of control in the program to Jeremy Pruitt. Part of that was because of Jeremy's personality. Part of it, Jeremy wanted to win, okay? He was interested in winning. And clearly he was interested in winning at Tennessee a little too much, or he was just not very good, frankly, at cheating. It's pretty clear he's not good at that. So that's what Tennessee's alleging. So you get to the end of the 2015 season, and there's all sorts of internal strife. Brian Schottenheimer, pure disaster of a hire. Jeremy Pruitt is trying to run roughshod over everybody. He's going up to the athletic department's fourth floor at Georgia, is where all the higher up administration is, and raising all sorts of noise about this, that, and the other. We get to the end of the 15 season, and there's a group, after Mark has been let go, there's defenders that want Jeremy Pruitt to be the head coach. They go to go see Greg McGarity and say, hey, we want this guy to take over. And Greg McGarity's response is, guys, that is not happening. I cannot hire him with the way he's acted. And the way he acted was, frankly, inappropriate for someone that is a coach at the level at Georgia, nevertheless a defensive coordinator. And for someone to be the head coach, no. It was a lot of screaming and yelling and, calling Coach Richt out. That was just, it was a bad hire by Mark Richt. And he wound up with two bad hires at the coordinator spot, and that's why Mark was gone. Then he goes to Alabama, gets them ready for the national championship game. Obviously, I'm not saying he's not a good defensive coordinator. He was very good at Alabama, and I would say he was pretty good at Florida State too. But all along the way, your reputation precedes you after a while. So he gets hired at Tennessee, and all of a sudden, there's a lot of hope at Tennessee. The same hope will come with the next coach at Tennessee and will come with the next coach at Georgia. This is what we do as a society. We can't see how there will be failures. But, Aaron Murray is not my friend, but I know Aaron Murray a little bit. And Aaron said out loud what a lot of people were saying quietly and what a lot of people were saying, behind the scenes, particularly at Georgia, which was, this doesn't look like it's going to end well. And it didn't. The 2015 season at Georgia is its own story. Whether you're talking about Brian Schottenheimer being a disaster, Jeremy Pruitt and internal strife inside the coaches, Devin Gales was that season. It's a heartbreaking thing. And then the end of the year, in the middle of the year with Nick Chubb getting hurt on the second play of the game or whatever it was against Tennessee, that was one of the most, I'm not even mentioning the Florida game in 2015, which was probably the most embarrassing game for Georgia in Mark Richt's tenure there. But, and then having to hold on in overtime to beat Georgia Southern. It was bad. And Jeremy Pruitt was there the whole time. And they weren't ready when it mattered. You allow 38 points to Alabama. You allow 38 points to Tennessee. One of the ugliest games ever in the history of college football, a 9-6 win over Missouri. They could not do anything. The quarterback situation was a disaster. There was constant infighting. And at the end of the year, it was made clear to me by the powers that be at Georgia that Jeremy Pruitt would not return, period. He was not going to be back, period. Was not happening. So, then he went to Alabama, who everybody that's gone there while they're at Alabama, they've succeeded because Alabama has succeeded because of Nick. Get to the Tennessee situation, can't find a quarterback. Doesn't understand that a head coach can't be a high school football coach. There's fundraising to be had. There's really a lesson learned here along the way, which is that you have got to understand people skills as a head coach. And that is not something that Jeremy Pruitt was really good at or is really good at. And, I don't know him in any way. I don't. I covered him, and he just was not cut out to be a head football coach. Certainly not at the SEC level. I'm not cut out to be a head coach of the SEC football school either. But Tennessee hired him, and they have gone through a pile of coaches, and the question is, what are they going to do next? Because firing Jeremy was the easy part. Firing Butch Jones was the easy part. Firing Derek Dooley was the easy part. Lane Kiffin left. Firing Phil Fulmer. I remember all this. I mean, Tennessee has not been happy in 15 years almost. Even in 2007 when they went to the SEC East, they were getting ready to fire him in the middle of the 2007 season too. They were getting ready to get rid of Fulmer. It is not surprising what happened at Tennessee at all. And I think the problem for someone like Tennessee, Nebraska, people like that is when there's no basic base of kids, you're going to have to go out and recruit nationally. You can't recruit nationally today unless you're winning. And even if you do, the oxygen in the room has been suffocated by Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson. They're all going to get to California to get the best kids. And it's just, you got to go for scraps. The best kids in Georgia are not going to Tennessee. Jamal Lewis, guys like that, Deion Glover. No, and it's not been like that for a while. So I do question whether they will get back or not. But I'm not an absolutist. I don't think that there's no way. I mean, that's stupid talk. We're talking about Tennessee here. But to see how bruised a program that has been as great as Tennessee has been for a long time, to see their condition over these last 15 years points directly at administrative failure and not understanding how to do the job you've got to do. Let the athletic director be the athletic director. Let the football coach coach football. Those are not the same position because one has to fire the other. One has to raise money for the other. And they both got to get together to share aspirational dreams and so forth. At Georgia, right now, you don't have that problem. The AD has no interest in being the football coach. The football coach has no interest in being the AD. Things are working. Things can always get worse. It can get worse at Tennessee. They have gone and done step one. The question is, can they execute on step two? I don't know. And I don't know. But it is not surprising that we've gotten to this point at Tennessee with Jeremy Pruitt. Don't hire Jeremy Pruitt and you're not in this situation. Butch Jones was a better coach than Jeremy Pruitt. That doesn't mean it was wrong to fire Butch Jones. They had to do what they did then too. So they still got a ways to go. I do wonder how long the probation stuff will last for Tennessee because they seem to be asking for probation. I don't think Georgia would handle it this way. I don't think Alabama would handle it this way. And when you have a weak head coach that you want gone, you're willing to trash your season, your program, and it seems like that's what Tennessee's done. Dean Legge from Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. Check out these highlights up here in this playlist. You're going to want to see them for sure. We'll see you over on the website, dogpost.com.